A generation ago, educated, skilled workers went to where the jobs were. Today, companies with the best jobs go to where the workforce is. In many ways, economic development is developing the talent in your community. We can't continue with a situation where 80% of the students who go into your community college system don't complete a degree. We've got to figure out a way to ratchet that up.
Too many Americans have not achieved the skills and knowledge they need for success in the workplace. And so we see employers around the country saying we need more well-prepared graduates from college. We have about a national college graduation rate of 30%, and we're 13 in the world in the number of college graduates compared to other countries. So we've lost our way. We were first a generation ago.
In Detroit, what we try to do is think about how do we grow our own talent? How do we grow Detroit's young talent? And what we are doing in Detroit is basically putting in different programming that create a pathway for young people who live in this city. That makes a better Detroit for everyone.
When you live in the city of Detroit, and we're only 4 or 5 years from bankruptcy, there's been a lot of things about the city that have been reasons why you might not want to be here. In fact, more than 200,000 people moved out in the decade before I got elected. Now the Detroit Promise is talked about everywhere as, I'm glad I stayed.
The Detroit Promise is a college access program for all students residing in the city of Detroit, going to any kind of school. This is universal access.
The stakeholders in College Promise have to do with leaders from business, education, government, philanthropy, the students themselves, labor organizations, and nonprofits that bring people together to say, we've got to do more for students than we've done in the last 50 years.
The first director of the Kalamazoo Promise had this saying that students struggle in college for 2 reasons: money and everything else.
The Detroit Regional Chamber, who administers the scholarship program, had observed that students were accessing college at higher rates, but that many of the students were dropping out before the start of the second year. So as a result of this, they really wanted to do something to help students persist.
The Detroit Promise Path is the student success part of the Detroit Promise. The heart of the program is this relationship between students and coaches. Coaches are sort of this home base for students trying to figure out how to navigate and be successful in college, and then our coaches support them to the other side of graduation.
When I was younger, I wasn't really into school. I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I knew I didn't want to go to college. I was that kid that skipped class, but when I did go, I wasn't really there. I was just there so my mom wouldn't be telling me go to class. I don't believe my mom went to college, so it's like, okay, I could be fine and not go. Most people who go to college are in debt. But when I found out about the Detroit Promise, I'm like, I don't have to pay.
We get out at 9 o'clock. That's terrible. That's a long time.
It must be nice. You're going to be at home.
Well, I'm going to work after this. We grew up, everybody knew us. We was the twins. That's how they knew us, the twins.
Growing up, it was been really hard for me because I've learned different from other people, so they separate me from other kids, like being in special ed. I didn't think I was going to make it to college, so I didn't think I was even going to go to high school.
I'm a strong believer in if one person can believe in you, you can go really far. Because even if you don't have a whole crowd, if one person cheering you on, that's enough energy to keep you going through whatever you're going through. And Mark, he was that one person.
The coaching component that we offer here is something that no one has. Whatever you need on this campus, I'm your first contact. Our job is to help students to become the best version of themselves.
He's like a father. Like, he's in no ear. He texts your phone, blowing it up like, we got meetings, how's class, how's it going? He be in your face, he do not play.
It's a very, very easy assignment. And what does it ask you?
How am I spending my time?
How are you spending your time?
It's an intrusive style of coaching. Frankly, most people, whether they're 17, 18, or 19, need that kind of coaching.
These coaches are working with them day in and day out and serving them with respect, and with love and with passion for them to be successful. I mean, this is what all young people, all children need and deserve.
Okay. Hi. Good. Good today? Yeah, great. It's definitely helpful. If I weren't meeting with Jewel and White Trace, I probably would have made far more mistakes. I got an exam for economics.
You prepared for it?
Yeah, I studied actually.
Have you looked at any additional materials? Because study guides are like guidelines, but we want to make sure that we get all the material that may be thrown at you on the exam.
Yeah, I was reading the book.
Do you have the study exam with you?
I have it on my laptop.
Can I see?
In our one-on-one sessions, we talk about real life problems. We talk about school. We talk about transportation.
How long does it take you?
It still takes, I think, like an hour and a half.
What, so you have sociology. Do you like sociology?
He doesn't give out homework,
Okay.
but the only assignments we do have is a research paper and a oral presentation.
Okay.
So it's like up to you to remember, like, hey, I need to get on this. I need to start working on this.
Ah.
So I actually used Canvas.
Oh,
Yeah.
Look at there. I feel progress has been made.
When we pitch education to our kids, we're not pitching a degree, we're not pitching like a certificate, we're pitching like, what is it that you want for your life? And they realize on their own, in order to get that thing, education's a piece of it.
In addition to just the hard outcomes of, increased graduation rates and access to college, we're seeking to change the culture of higher education throughout the city.
That intellectual side of me, it's more of a side that I don't really bring out playing games with my friends. They all knew me as that guy that just didn't want to go to school. They're like astonished at how much I changed. And they're just like, whoa, he's actually like growing up. Actually planning on going to graduate school.
My dad, he didn't finish off high school. And when he sees us do the things we doing, he tells everybody around the community. He say,
The whole block knows.
my daughters did this, my daughters did that.
I actually do love learning new things. Knowing that my niece, one day she told us she loves school more than Disney World. Disneyland is just past her. School is more important. I'm like, that's good. That let me know that we doing something right.
We wanted to ensure that, we weren't just implementing a feel-good program, that there were real documented results behind what we were doing. So we partnered with the MDRC to really take a very robust look at what the data were that suggested whether we were successful or not.
Our mission at MDRC is to build a reliable body of evidence about what works and then to get it used by policymakers, all with the goal of improving the effectiveness of their programs and the outcomes for students. So we jumped at the opportunity to work with the Detroit Chamber to design an initiative that would take advantage of everything that we and others had learned to try to create a program that we thought could really make a difference.
They wanted to do something thoughtfully that really pulled on the evidence and the best practices in the field. So we worked together, pulling on this 15 years of evidence in the post-secondary space to design a program that we thought could be effective given their population and really tailoring it for their local context.
Data, literally on a day-to-day basis, guides what we decide to do hour to hour. The central management tool we use for our data collection tracks every interaction with kids. We're able to keep track of every kid who shows up on our roster. We can run reports on last time they showed up, whether they picked up the phone, whether they responded to a text message. And what that allows us to do is not just say, look, these number of kids are on track, but it allows us to ask on a daily basis who isn't on track.
So our evaluation is comparing the Detroit Promise Path, which is comprised of the scholarship and these additional supports, compared with the scholarship alone.
It was like a hard sell to sell our partners on a control group and a program group, right? Like if we have this thing that we think is going to be successful, we should be giving it to everyone morally, right? But it was through time that I realized in order to really help students long term, we had to have a case for why we were doing what we were doing. I see now that when you're able to clearly say this is what makes a difference, you can take that. You can say it loud to everyone and people are bought into that, and I think that's where we're headed.
When we decided to do the Detroit Promise, we knew it was going to require private philanthropy to get it off the ground. But what we also prepared for was to make sure that we would have a tax capture that would eventually support that program long term. It is our hope that as our property values increase, the program will be supported by the residents in our city. And so therefore, we need to support this program in order to make sure that our young people are a part of this recovery in Detroit.
This is the cutting edge place where education, government, philanthropy, and for-profit industry have come together to try to realize that there needs to be more to give the lower socioeconomic classes access to college as a means for all of our society to grow.
Today, there are more than 200 college promise programs around the country. Many of them are struggling with persistence and completion. If they're going to achieve their final goal, they really need to do something about that set of challenges. And that means designing a program that works with students after they arrive in college. And that is essentially what the Detroit Promise Path program is doing.
We want to be a national model, so when a community comes to us, they don't come to us to learn about just how we're doing the promise. They come to us because we have the coaching program. Together, to me, a promise program is good. A promise and a coaching program is great.
Providing the supports, ensuring that they've got success, learning as we go, means that we're going to help not just the kids that are there now, but, we have a pathway that's going to help future generations of students.
It's helped raise property values in the city. It's helped stabilize the enrollment in the high schools in the city of Detroit. It's just been a wonderful program. I think if you do what we did here, start out on a small basis and see what happens, the case will make itself. I think anybody who hires a handful of coaches and tries it will become believers.
The payback is enormous. The prosperity of America depends on well-prepared people in the workforce, doing well, paying taxes, and really creating the benefit of the country that we all want to be a part of.